Let's begin. Namo Arhantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airiyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Loe Sabsahunam. तीन भुवन में सार वीतराग विज्ञानता शिव स्वरूप शिवकार नमः त्रियोग संहार के. So we had already understood the basic meaning of this particular prelude. It says that I bow to Vitarag Vijnanata because it is the only thing which makes sense or can conclude in this whole world. This has Shiv at its core, and hence, if I bow to it, if I come shelter to it, I will get Vitarag Vijnanata or happiness. In the end, I'd like to bow to Vitarag Vijnanata with all my body, with all my soul, with all my thoughts, and with all my words. This is what it means in the first prelude. Is there any question regarding the first verse of the prelude? I think none. Let's move ahead. Somebody saying something?
I don't think so.
Okay, neither do I. Okay, so we had actually started the second verse. It's accidentally written verse 3 there. Now in the second verse, they are telling us what is the reason behind writing the scripture. Okay, so what is the basic reason behind writing the scripture? So this is mentioned in this particular verse. I'm reciting, one line each. So you need to recite it right after me. जे त्रिभुवन में जीव अनंत वेरी गुड सुख चाहे दुख ते भयवंत
सुख चाहे तय है भयवंत
ताते दुख हारी सुखकार
ताते दुख हारी सुखकार
कहे सीख गुरु करुणाधार
कहे सीख गुरु करुणाधार.
Okay, well done. So what does this mean? So this particularly...
Oh, I thought there was only one person.
Okay, so this particular verse, what does it mean? Let's go line by line. The first line says, Jai Tribhuvan me Jeev Anant. This is sharing a fact with us that there are infinite number of jivas in this whole world. There are infinite number of souls in this whole world. So, Jai Tribhuvan me Jeev Anant, as we know that there are Anant, infinite number of jivas in this whole world, what do they want? So the answer to that is in the second line of the verse. It says, Sukh chahe dukh te bhayavant. Sukh means happiness. Chahe means they are willing to have happiness. Dukh te, about dukh, bhayavant. Bhayavant means they are too fearful of the unhappiness. This is what we had covered in the last class. Vinci, is it clear?
Yes, I've noted it down in my book.
Okay, thank you. So what it means? So there are Anant Jeev in this whole universe, in this whole world. and they all want happiness, and they are too fearful of the unhappiness or miseries of the world. Now we go to the third line. It says, Tate dukh hari sukhkar. Hence, to remove their unhappiness and to get happiness, kahe sikh guru karuna dhar. Kahe means says, Sikh, that means, the path, the understanding. The Sikh means the shiksha. Shiksha means the teaching. Guru means the teacher. Karuna dhar, while keeping kindness by being kind.
What does the third line mean?
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Tate dukh hari sukhkar. Hence, to remove unhappiness and get happiness. This is written in the PDF also. We are actually going to come to it. In the next slide, you're going to look at the meaning of this particular verse. So for removing the unhappiness and for getting happiness, kahe sikh guru karunadhar. So the guru, the teacher, is teaching us with being very kind. So the kind teacher is helping us to understand what is the right way to gain happiness and renounce or reduce unhappiness. So far, so good. Okay. So this is what it meant by the second verse, that the teacher is teaching us the path with which we can remove unhappiness and get happiness. So let's move forward and see what is the slide trying to tell us. So the meaning of the second verse is, all wish for happiness and fear misery. So everybody wants happiness and fears misery. Hence, for removing misery and become happy, the monk, the teachers teach with mercy. The teachers are teaching us with mercy, with kindness. They are helping us the way out of misery and the real path to happiness. So what is happiness? The biggest question comes in front of us. What is happiness? So like if I ask you a question, if Adi, you are given your favorite flavored ice cream, will you be happy?
Yes.
But how many ice creams can you have of the same flavor?
1 or 2.
But what will happen if I give you the fifth one?
I'll fall sick.
Yeah, true. But then you will become unhappy as well, that you will get bored of it. Hence, this happiness is very temporary in nature. This happiness is very nuanced, or I mean to say, very temporary in nature. You're not going to get that happiness for longer duration of time. Hence, we are talking about this particular happiness. So there are two words written here. The first one is the sensory happiness, and the second one is the non-sensory happiness. So the kind of happiness you get from ice creams or anything worldly for that matter is called as sensory. We like to touch furry things, soft things. So this is the touch sense. We like to taste things which help us retain or enjoy our taste buds. This is called as touch sensory happiness. If I talk about smelling, whatever thing that smells good, that is called as the happiness of the sensory, of the sense organ nose. And we always like to see things good. You are absolutely unfortunate to look at me, but fine, nothing can be done in that case. That you always like to see things which are good enough. So this is called as the happiness of the sensory organ eyes. And then the happiness of the sense organ ears. What is that? We like to hear things good. If I, talk to you like this, oh, are you listening to me? You might not like to hear it. But if I talk to you like this, oh, are you listening to me, my dear? Then you might like it. So this is what is called sensory happiness. This is not a very permanent kind of happiness. This is a very temporary kind of happiness. This is a kind of happiness which changes with every other substance in the world. So what are we looking for? We are looking for a happiness which is beyond senses. Sachi, are you with me?
Yeah, I was just noting it down.
No problem, no problem. I just thought that are you getting it or not? So this happiness, what we are talking about, there are two particular kinds of happiness in the world. One happiness is of the sensory nature, and the second happiness is of the non-sensory nature. The one which we get from senses is called as sensory because it is very temporary and changes with every other object. It is not real happiness. So what is real happiness? The one that stays with us, the one that doesn't change with the substances. This is called non-sensory happiness. And we are all basically looking for a happiness which is non-sensory in nature, which is beyond all the problems of the world. Fine. So this is how we understand the real nature of happiness. Okay. So this is the kind of happiness we are looking for, and hence the teacher is very kind enough to tell us that we can get this happiness. He's very kind enough to tell us the path by which we can get this kind of happiness. So are you all ready to have that happiness?
Yes.
I guess so, yes.
Yes.
So let's go to the verse 3. This verse tells us what is the basic reason behind our misery. We all understood what is happiness. I think so far so good. But after understanding happiness, we first of all need to understand what is misery. Without understanding the problem, how are you ever going to get the solution? So the problem is misery and the solution is happiness. So we understood happiness, hence we need to understand misery as well. Okay, I think I should ask this somebody else too. Suchita, am I clear or am I clear?
Crystal clear.
Oh, okay. Fine. So the most important aspect that is going to be covered in this verse 3 is the reason for misery. What is the basic reason for misery? So let's, recite one line each. ताहि सुनो भवि मन थिर आन. I think everybody was not ready. I'll do it again. ताहि सुनो भवि मन थिर आन.
ताहि सुनो भव मन तिर आन.
जो चाहो अपनो कल्याण.
जो चाहो अपना कल्याण.
मोह महा मद पियो अनादि.
मोह अमादो पियो अनादि.
It's Mahamad. We'll recite that line again. मोह महामद पियो अनादि.
मोह महामद पियो अनादि.
भूल आपको भर मतवादी.
भूल आपको भर मतवादी.
Well done, everybody. You did a good job. Now let's start to understand each, line one after the other. Now listen to it very carefully, because we are talking about something which will help you get out of your unhappiness, out of your misery. So what does the first line mean? Tahi suno bhavi man thir an. Bhavi means a person who can understand real happiness, who can reach to liberation. Okay? Bhavi means a person who can attain moksha, the person who can attain liberation. Or in other words, you can also say the person who listens carefully about the real nature of the soul. I'll repeat it again. Who is Bhavi? Who is Bhavya? Bhavya is the person who listens to the talk of pure soul very keenly, cravingly, is called as Bhavi. Okay? So, the writer of Chhahdhala is calling all of us Bhavya, and he's saying that we all are Bhavya, so we should listen to this teaching very carefully. Tahi suno, hence listen. Bhavya, O Bhavya, man thir an, by keeping your mind very constant and constrained, controlled, so that you will listen to what I'm saying very carefully. Okay, I'll say it again. Tahi suno, hence listen, O Bhavya, by keeping your mind empty, by concentrating your mind. Okay, got the first line? Okay, so now as you have got the first line, which was a very simple line, he's trying to tell you what is required of us. Jo chaho apno kalyan. Yes, Adi? Nothing. Jo chaho apno kalyan. Jo, if, chaho, you want, apno, your, kalyan, liberation. So if you want your liberation, listen to me with a concentrated mind. This is what it means by the first two lines. Clear, everybody? Ilaji, clear? Am I going right? Fine. Vinci ji, clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, okay. So the first two lines are only telling you that you should listen to what he is going to say very carefully. Now, what is he telling you in one particular line? This line is very important, and we are to focus this line too much today. Moh Mahamad Piyo Anadi. Since eternity, we had been drinking the elixir of Moh. Fine. Not only elixir, it's basically, wish. Wish means, what is wish? Wish, what is the opposite of this thing?
Poison.
Poison, yeah,
Poison.
yeah, thank you, poison. Yeah, so we had been drinking poison, we had been drinking poison of moha since eternity. Since eternity means from time immemorial, we had been drinking moha and thinking that we are very happy. But once we understand that this moh is the criminal, it is a bad thing that we had been drinking, we will stop having it. And this is what they are trying to say. Now, what is moh? I'll cover right after this particular slide. Okay.
What does the last line mean?
Yeah, I'm just coming to the last line. Adi is saying something. Yes, Adi.
What does the second line mean?
Okay. Jo chaho apno kalyan. If you want your happiness, liberation. Okay.
Yeah.
The last line. Now let's look at the last line. What does the last line say? Bhool aapko bharmat vadi. Bhool, that you have forgotten. Aapko, you have forgotten. Bhool aapko. Aapko means you. Bhool, that means forgotten. So you have forgotten. Bharmat vadi. Aapko means yourself. And you had been wandering in the world because you have forgotten yourself. Okay, so the last line means Bharmat Vadi, you had been wandering in this world because Bhool Aapko, you have forgotten yourself. Clear? So because we had been having the poison called moha since eternity, we had been forgetting ourselves and roaming around in the world. Okay, are the two lines clear now? Sandeep ji, two lines clear?
Yeah.
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I keep on taking feedbacks because I think I've gone mad. So I need to check it whether I'm still in my senses or not. Okay. So I'll just frame two lines so that you understand the basic meaning of this particular verse. Tahi suno bhavi man thir aan, jo chaho apno kalyan. Oh Bhavya, if you want your liberation, listen to what I'm saying very carefully. Now these two lines are very important. The last two lines. Moh Mahamad Piyo Anadi, Bhool Aapko Bharmatvadi. So, since time eternity, we had been drinking the poison called moha and had been forgetting ourselves, because of which we had been wandering, and this is the reason for misery. Sachi is having something. Yes, Sachi, go ahead.
Does liberation basically mean your benefit?
Yes, liberation means your benefit. Liberation means happiness. Now, I'll just give you a small, correlation to understand that. In this particular slide, we had understood that there are two kinds of happiness. The first one is sensory and the second one is non-sensory. So the sensory happiness is the happiness of the world. And because of this happiness, you are roaming around in the world. The non-sensory happiness is the happiness of the liberation. So once you understand this non-sensory happiness, you will gain liberation. And this is what it means by apno kalyan, your happiness, your liberation. So this is the basic motto that Pandit Daulat Ramji is trying to tell us, that your happiness is your liberation. Your unhappiness is moha. So what is the motto? Motto is your happiness is your liberation and your unhappiness is your moha. Clear, everybody? Okay. Fine. So let's look at the slides and see what they are trying to tell us. So verse number 3 says, I'd request Vincy to please read the slide for me.
Verse 3. Meaning, O Bhavya, listen to that teaching very carefully if you want your benefit. You have drunken the liquor of illusion since eternity by not remembering your soul.
Okay, thank you very much. Does this suffice whatever we had talked about? It says, O Bhavya, listen to that teaching very carefully if you want your benefit. So if you want your benefit, listen to what I'm saying very carefully. Now, what is he saying? He's saying two lines. The first line is, you had been drinking the poison of illusion, moha, since eternity. And why are you doing so? Because you are not remembering your own soul, your own self, your Atma, as we say. Okay? Now the question arises, what is Bhavya? Who is Bhavya and who is Abhavya? Okay? Bhavya and Abhavya are quite important for us. Let's try and understand this Bhavya and Abhavya part. Who is Bhavya and who is Abhavya? In one line, it has been written here, the one who has the ability to receive salvation is Bhavya. And the one who does not has the ability to receive salvation is Abhavya.
Who has
The one who has the ability to receive salvation or liberation is a Bhavya, and the one who doesn't is an Abhavya. Clear? So we all have the ability to receive salvation. So we should listen to what the teacher is saying, and the thing that he's saying is the motto that your liberation is your happiness. Your happiness is your liberation, and your unhappiness is your moha, your illusion. Okay? So basically now I want to talk to you a little about moha or illusion. So let's keep your books aside and listen to me quite carefully for some time. Okay, now what is moha? As we had discussed it a lot, illusion is moha. Illusion means something which does not exist in the world, but it exists in our brain. We try to think that that thing exists, but actually that thing does not exist. The best example is when we consider that we are body. Now, body and soul are two very different entities, but we had been considering them one entity since eternity. We had been considering these two entities as one entity since eternity. So this is what the teacher is trying to tell us, that considering the body as the soul is the heart and soul of living in this world. If you want to go beyond this world, get liberation, you need to understand yourself and the distinction of you from your body. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, it is clear.
Yes.
Fine. So far we have covered 3 verses. If you have any question from any verse, just look at your copies, look at the PPT that I had already given you. If there's any question, let me know. Else I will proceed to the fourth one.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else with any questions? The questions? No. Chalo, let's talk about the 4th verse. Oh, Adi has one. Okay. Go ahead, Adi.
You know what did the like the first and the second line mean? Not for this verse, for the verse before this.
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah.
Which lines?
The first and the second.
Okay. So the first line says, Je Tribhuvan me Jeev Anant, as there are infinite number of jivas in this world, all of them want happiness, sukh chahe, and dukhte bhayvant, are fearful of the unhappiness. I'll recite it as a whole in English only. As there are infinite number of souls, jivas in this world, They all want happiness and fear unhappiness. And the next two lines say, hence, to remove happiness, to remove unhappiness and get happiness, you should listen to the teacher very carefully. Clear? So now I'm going to the fourth verse. Now you need to recite, as we are doing it since yesterday. You have to recite one line after me. So I'm reciting the first line. तास भ्रमण की है बहु कथा.
दास भ्रमण की है बहु कथा.
पै कछु कहूँ कही मुनि यथा. I'll recite it again. पै कछु कहूँ कही मुनि यथा.
पै कछु कहूँ कहे मुनि यथा.
You need to listen to me when I'm reciting it so that you'll get what word, how a word is recited. Fine. काल अनंत निगोद मझार.
काल अनंत निगोद मझार.
बीत्यो एकेन्द्रिय तन धार.
बीत्यो एकेन्द्रिय तन धार.
Very good, very good, very good. So keep remembering this, that whenever I'm reciting, you need to be very careful and look at each word. How it is pronounced. Okay. So the first line says, तास भ्रमण की है बहु कथा. So as you had seen, the last line of this particular verse talked about Brahmana, Bharmat, right? So Bharmat means we are wandering. And the first line of this verse is talking about Brahmana. Brahman means the wander. So we were wandering because of. This is going to talk about that. Tas Brahman ki hai bahu katha. The story is very long of this wandering. The story of wandering is very long. Katha means story. Bahut means long, too much. Brahman means wandering. Tas means that. So
can you say it once in English? Together.
In English, okay. Okay. तास भ्रमण की है बहु कथा. Clear?
Is
Okay.
the second last word in that sentence bahut or bahu?
Oh yeah, that's my mistake. Bahu katha. It is bahu, B-A-H-U. I'll clarify. I'll mend it in my next class. Tas Brahman ki hai bahu katha. This means that the story of wandering in this whole world is very long. Pe kachu kahu kahi muni yatha. So I'm saying that story in short, as the munis, the monks, had told me. Okay? So I'm going to share that story in short as I have heard it from the monks. Yatha means like or as. Muni means the monk. Kahu means I'm going to say. Pe kachu means little. In short. I'll say it again. Pe kachu means in short. Kahu, that means I am going to say. Muni, that means the monk. Yatha means like or as. So, as the monk has told me the story of the wandering of the soul, in the same way, I am going to tell you that story in short. Clear? So this line means that monks have written pages and pages and pages to tell about the story of a particular jeev, but Daulat Ramji has a very small, book to write, or I may say that his intent is to write that long story in short. Okay, so he's basically going to tell us that story which monks have written in so detail. He's going to tell us that story in short. Okay. Now he's starting the story from the third line of this particular verse. So are you all ready to listen to the story?
Yes.
Yeah, we are all quite excited to know what the story is.
Yes.
Kal Anant Nigod Manjhar. So Kal, that means time. Anant means infinite. Nigod is a particular term which I'm going to tell you a little later. Nigod is a place, and I'm going to tell you what it means in a while. Maybe not today, or maybe in the next class. Manjhar means in. So we had spent infinite amount of time in Nigod. Nigod is the name of a place. Okay, so we had lived an infinite amount of time in a Nigod. Bityo ekendriya tan dhar. So bityo means have passed. Ekendriya, that means one sensed organ. Dhar, that means we had undertaken. So in Nigod, we had only one sensory organ, and because of that sensory organ, we had lived in Nigod for time infinite. So
What
I'm
does
telling,
Kana mean again?
just wait for a second. I'm telling you the meaning of both the lines, both the last two lines. Kal Anant Nigod Manjhar. So I had spent infinite amount of time in Nigod. Bityo ekendriya tanadhar. There I had only one sensory organ, that is touch. There are 5 sensory organs. The first one is touch. So I had only touch sensory organ, and I had spent time infinite in Nigod. I think the time is going to be up. So we will talk about this verse in detail in the next class. If you have any questions, you can shoot them to me in the beginning of the class. Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Andrew, thank you.
Jai Jinendra.
Jinendra.